It's time to welcome in our first guest of the show, Anthony Irwin. He is the host of Lakers Lounge, a Blue Wire podcast, and co-host of All Access Lakers. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you very much for having me. Congratulations on landing a really good coach.
Typically, we don't allow Lakers people onto our pod, as you obviously probably understand, but we do very much appreciate you joining us. From your perspective, what do Lakers fans think about Frank Vogel, obviously after the end of the era there? What is their biggest takeaway in Frank Vogel, and how do you think they're reacting to the news today?
I think for the most part, he's always just going to be looked back on as a coach who helped win a championship. It was a really grueling season, as everybody knows, right? Everybody likes to kind of talk about the bubble and the asterisk about it. That's neither here nor there. But for me, it was a season that went for a full calendar year, that featured a pandemic, that, in which Lakers fans lost Kobe. So that title is always going to be particularly special, at least to me. And I think most Lakers fans really hold Frank in some pretty high regards for winning that one. It also helps. He's just like a good dude. He never has anything negative to say about anybody. So, it used to be a game that Harrison and I used to play when we would listen to his pressers and post-game scrums and stuff. And you would try to have to like translate for like criticism that he would have on guys. You guys got a good one. We'll always look back pretty fondly with Frank.
Obviously, he's inheriting two superstars here in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. But how did he handle that in LA with LeBron and AD? And did you see anything in that situation that you think could play out here in Phoenix as well?
It was tough with Frank because he wasn't LeBron's first pick. He was like the Lakers' third or fourth pick, to be completely honest, right? They initially had thought that they were going to hire Tyronn Lue, to the extent to where there's a infamous picture of Tyronn with the birthday cake there that signified that he thought he was going to be the Lakers' next head coach. LeBron was on board with Ty, right, having won a championship with him previously. And then, the Lakers also were interested in Monty Williams before you guys hired him. It was that hiring process was a pretty giant disaster that turned out well because, Frank is a pretty good head coach. But I think that always kind of made for a tough relationship starter, icebreaker with everybody there involved. And I do think, obviously, he made the best that he could of the situation to the tune of a championship. But I also think like you can't redo your first impression. And I think people in the organization and Anthony Davis and LeBron James, AD less so, LeBron more so, always just kind of looked at Frank as like not Ty Lue.
Anthony, I'm curious because we all know that Frank Vogel is a defensive-minded coach. His adjustments in playoff situations on that end are pretty impressive. But offensively, I know this is maybe a difficult question to ask because the Lakers roster was so all over the place the last couple of years of his tenure. But what can Suns fans expect from the offense, and how important, in your view, is it to have maybe his lead assistant be some sort of offensive coordinator type?
Yeah, that was always kind of a point of contention with me, was that and the other thing too is, Frank was hired under such circumstances that he didn't really have much leverage in these conversations. So he, the Lakers wanted to bring in Jason Kidd, right? And basically gave Frank some walking orders and said that, hey, Jason is going to be your lead assistant. We're going to pay him more than any other lead assistant in the league. And if it doesn't work out for you, just a heads up, your replacement's probably sitting right over there.
Right.
I'm telling you guys, it was a super weird situation that just turned out really well. And I think Frank deserves a lot of credit for that. He's a super amiable guy. If he did bring in somebody with that kind of knowledge onto his staff, he's very good at working with others. And I think that would be a welcome addition. Basically, the way it worked with the Lakers was he handled the defense and LeBron handled the offense. And usually it works. Usually, and like, there was some trust there with Rajon Rondo when he was with the Lakers as well. But for the most part, it was basically like, I got this, you got that. We'll try to make it, we'll make it work somewhere in the middle.
So a lot of our fans in the chat right now, Suns fans in the chat right now, have a little bit of hesitation around really getting on board with this hire for the Phoenix Suns. Is there anything about Frank Vogel that you can share with us in your experience when he was with the Lakers that could maybe give some peace or some calm within some of these Suns fans?
Well, Frank maximized AD in ways that, we were really pretty surprised. AD is already an incredible talent, right? But to see what AD became in the bubble, where he was flying around defensively and he was utilized in all of these different approaches on defense, really turned him into what was already a pretty talented, really impressive player into, oh my God, at one point there were conversations, is this guy the best big in the league? And all that stuff. You guys can probably speak to this better than I can, but I really think for the Suns moving forward, your ceiling is going to be kind of decided by DeAndre Ayton. And,
Yes.
and I think Frank is going to get as much as you can get out of Ayton. If he is still there, right? I you guys again would know better than me, but if they are kind of committing to Ayton, Frank will utilize him in all kinds of different ways defensively. Hopefully get him to refocus on some of the, like, it always makes me nervous when you start to see bigs say, like, I need more post touches and I need to start shooting threes and stuff like that. Frank was pretty good at getting AD to focus on the things that made him special. And if he can do that with Ayton, I think that really unlocks what you guys are capable of moving forward.
There's a couple assistants, obviously, and you had actually retweeted, some rumors going around about possible moves from that Lakers organization. And one name that always sticks out to me is Phil Handy.
No, you can't have him.
What do you know about their relationship, and how much they obviously have worked together, and obviously you hold Phil Handy in high regard as well. What do you know about that relationship and the possibility of that even happening?
So Phil, it was interesting. Before I came on, I think you guys were talking about is it Kevin Young?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how you guys are hoping that he kind of hangs on despite being passed over for this position. And that same kind of thing happened with Phil Handy, where the Lakers fire Frank Vogel, and Phil Handy actually interviewed for the position, really wants to be a head coach. And the Lakers obviously wind up going in a different direction. And Phil Handy, I thought, was gone. I thought for sure would find some pathway to a head coaching opportunity somewhere else. And he wound up sticking around. I kind of joked there, obviously, at the beginning, you can't have him. He's a big LeBron guy. LeBron is really going to put his foot down as far as, like, that guy is not allowed to coach a team that I am not on. So, Phil is a mastermind when it comes to player development, and we've seen what he's done with Rui Hachimura in a short amount of time this year, Austin Reeves, and the list kind of continues from there. But I would be pretty surprised if Phil was gone. But if the Suns basically say you are associate head coach or you are, second in command, and they offer him a promotion that maybe puts him in better position moving forward to get a head coaching gig somewhere down the line, that might be pretty hard for him to turn down, especially with somebody who he helped, win a championship with.
Well, and you say he's LeBron's guy. If LeBron's really thinking about retirement, I mean, maybe there's a better chance, right?
Yeah, it's altogether possible. Every other month or so, we get some new rumor about some weird departure from LeBron, and so maybe Phil's sick of that too.
Or, I mean, one of our friends in the chat is saying, does that mean that Braun and Bronny are coming to Phoenix? Are we going to steal both of them from you?
God, we have problems here.
Do you guys have a draft pick next year? Do you have your first round draft pick next year?
Yeah,
we do.
We do next year.
Oh, my goodness.
Just can't trade it.
It'll be interesting to see how this all shapes out. But Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight and your time. And everyone listening, make sure you give him a follow at Anthony Irwin, LA. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one.